Good morning. Welcome into the pre-match pump up with yours truly, Jacob from United Spurs America. I'm joined by Kate from Just a Girl Who Loves Spurs. Good morning from El Paso, Texas, Kate. How are you feeling this fine game day?
Good afternoon from a really sunny Lincolnshire. And yeah, feeling buzzed, excited and confident today. Yourself?
Not too bad. I didn't sleep the most well because usually when we play in the morning and I got stuff that my mind just kind of keeps me up. So I didn't get the most sleep. But you know what? That's not going to stop my enthusiasm today. No Dave from the Irish Hotspur, as you can see, but his channel is still in the title of this video, so you can still subscribe to the Irish Hotspur. Make sure you do. But big shout outs to Dave every single time. Big shout out to Ben and Sim from Tottenham TV. And first and foremost, before we keep going, make sure you're hitting a like on the video. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel and all that fun stuff. But Kate, we're about 20 minutes until the lineups come out. There's been some Ainge Postecoglou quote about Radu Dragusin. I'm not sure if this was yesterday and Fabrizio just kind of pulled it, but basically it was Postecoglou speaking on Radu Dragusin, and Van de Veen allegedly is back from injury. Richarlison allegedly is back from injury. Um, I'm just real curious. Let's start off with the back line. What are you hoping to see? Do you want to see Mickey Van de Veen come back in? Obviously, he missed out versus Fulham. We got smacked 3-0. I'm gonna say a little bit of my fault because I just thought we would go ahead and get business taken care of because of how
And
we
me.
how we handled Villa. Yeah, we all did. That's our fault. That's our fault a little bit. But what about for you? What back four do you want to see? I mean, obviously Udogie on the left, Christian Romero. Could I fairly say Christian
Yeah,
Romero and Pedro
yeah.
Porro? And the only question mark is that left-sided center back.
Yeah, I mean, for me, in an ideal world, I'd love to have Van der Ven on, but I think if we can avoid bringing him on, then start Dragusin, and then if it's not working, or Dragusin, I think is how you say it. If it's not working, bring Van der Ven on. I don't think he'll start him. I don't think he'll risk him. In an ideal world, I'd want him to start and play every single game, but on this occasion, I think he will start on the bench. I don't know what you think.
Well, for me, I don't want to rush him back. We have a match
Yeah.
on Tuesday, which is unfortunate for my personal life because it is in the middle of the work week. But we do have a match on Tuesday, so that's a very quick turnaround from today till Tuesday. And if Van de Veen is even 95%, I think it's best to just let him get a couple minutes off the bench, let him get back up to his match fitness. To me, clearly there's a problem with that hamstring when he hits that sixth gear. And there's no need, he's going to hit that gear if he starts today at some point. So do I want to see that? Not personally. I also
Mm-hmm.
think Radu Dragusin, Dragushki, whatever you want to call him, I think that this is the best kind of test. Fulham is a tough side. He got
Mm-hmm.
his first start versus Fulham. He was good for about 25, 35 minutes to my estimation. And the rest, him and the rest of the squad were pretty poor. Um, and when you lose 3-0, you got to kind of look at that back line and ask some questions. But to me, it didn't seem like the stage was too bright in the beginning. But this is a squad, and Luton, no disrespect to Luton, but if they had their full 11, I would say this is a formidable test for them. But they're missing 6 out of that 11 that we faced the first time, Kate. So
Yeah.
for me, I think if Dragusin is going to be a legitimate option at center back, he has to be able to handle the attackers of Luton. What do you think?
Yeah, 100% agree. If you're going to make him miss a game, Van der Ven, this is kind of a key game for him to miss. If it was Luton away, even, I'd be saying, oh no, I think he should start. But the fact we're at home, Luton are just plagued with injuries at the minute. I think it's best to try and save him. We should have more than enough, she says, for to beat Luton comfortably without Mickey, I believe.
I mean, we hope, right? We
Yeah,
kind of said that against Fulham as well because we knew Mickey Madden was going to miss that. And we're like, oh, it's just Mickey. We still got the rest of the 10.
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
and we
Yeah.
saw what happened there. But let's move it on up. Midfield for you, Kate.
Hmm.
There's been a lot of talk about Yves Bissouma. I know you probably don't see it under this, but I do have my last year's home Yves Bissouma kit on and some hopes that it'll inspire my man today. Um, he's not really quite hitting the levels that we once saw. Do you see him getting a fresh start on the bench, or do you see him continuing to hold that starting position?
I don't think he deserves to start. He's not impressing me at all at the moment. I know that we saw what he can do in the first 10, 11, whatever games it was, but at the minute, I feel really underwhelmed by Basuma, and I understand when people say, you don't want to smash his confidence by leaving him on the bench. But for me, it should be done on form. It should be done on who deserves to start, and he doesn't deserve to start, in my opinion. So on the bench, I mean, Sarah Matters for me today have got to be a must. But Benton Kerr, I wouldn't even risk him. He's got a broken toe. I would try and avoid playing Benton Kerr, or at least starting him. I would start Skippy or Pierre. I know that's going to be controversial, particularly as Pierre is going to be going, but
Excuse me. Did I hear is it early in the morning or am I hearing things?
no,
Did you say you benching Basuma,
yep,
Bentancur with the broken toe, not ready. So
yep,
you would look to start Højbjerg, who this week, if no one saw, if you had your head buried in the sand like an emu of sorts, or is that an ostrich? I don't remember. But whichever one it
ostrich.
is, an
Yeah,
ostrich. That's emus don't bury their heads. That makes more sense. Um, he said, obviously he hired a new Italian sports group. He's been linked to Juve, he's been linked to Madrid, he's been linked to a few different clubs, and he's really looking to get his move. And he almost put the onus on Ange Postecoglou, saying, "It's up to Ange to tell you why I'm not starting. Don't ask me. I do all the hard work. I put my head down and work. It's up to him to choose. So when you find out why I'm not playing, you have to get that answer from Ange Postecoglou." To me, it really I really saw it as a symbol of him saying, "Look, I am going to leave. I do
yeah.
not see my future here, but I am doing what I need to do as a consummate professional." Did you have to throw Ainge under the bus a little bit, saying, ask him why I'm not playing? No, but at the same time, from a personal perspective, he's probably like, why am I not starting? Because, like you mentioned, Basuma hasn't been hitting the same levels that we've seen from him. For me, Kate, I'm gonna just omit the idea of starting Skip and Højbjerg altogether, and I'm gonna say a a a half firing Basuma is more valuable to me than an Oliver Skip or a Højbjerg, because there's at least that potential that the rest of the engine and the rest of those cylinders will start working. Because we have seen it in the first 8-9 matches of this season. He was absolutely brilliant. He had Spurs fans like myself, admittedly, laughing at Arsenal, saying, "You spent 105 million on a midfielder. Look at what we got for 30."
Yeah.
And now it's a little bit of egg on my face because he hasn't been good really since Luton away. And there was a comment on my show yesterday, Kate, and I kind of liked it. It said, Yves Basuma's curse began with Luton. Why not give him a chance to end it with Luton? And that is a little bit of an optimistic thinking. Do you think that Basuma, I think Madison and Sarr are for sure is in my starting 11 as well. So really the only question mark, and it's not just you, Kate. It has been a few people who say Basuma deserves to sit. This is
Yeah.
like you said, if you're not performing, you should sit. But for me, I think what better way to pull a man out of the rut than giving him a chance to pull himself out of it, rather than sitting there and sulking in it. I don't know. It's different strokes for different folks, and I think that I'm really curious to see what Ainge is going to do. But so you're serious? You say Skip or Højbjerg over Basuma?
Look, for me, Basuma hasn't. I don't think his attitude's there. I don't know if his head's not in the right space. I don't see him really trying. And yeah, so let's say we do what you do, and we throw him in and say, pull yourself out of this hole and get your form back, and it doesn't work. So when we throw him in the next game, how many times are we going to give him these chances? We can't have passengers in this team at the minute. We need to win as often as we can. Now, so I saw someone else say that Benton Kerr said he's fine to play. If it was me, if I was Ange, I'd start Skip, Sarr, Matters, give it half an hour, 45 minutes, see how the game's going. If it's not going the way that I want it to go, take Skip off, bring Benton Kerr on. I wouldn't have Biss anywhere near the game today. That's me personally. I've really got a downer on Basuma at the minute. I don't think he's trying. I just don't think he looks disinterested to me.
I don't know what it is. It's hard to really get onto any platform and say, oh, this is why Basuma's not performing well. But the
Yeah.
results are he hasn't been performing well. And for me, I'm more of just hanging on in the hope that we can see that. Now, there has been some people in the chat, and big up the chat. I will interact. I will see your comments, etc. As long as there's not 1,000 people here like last week, it's a little hard to go through everyone's comments. But What about Giovanni Lo Celso for you? Could you see him over Skip and Højbjerg? I'm trying to find a way we don't start Skip and Højbjerg. It's 2024. We don't need to be starting Oliver Skip or Højbjerg. But I mean, Ainge has said he rewards players who work hard. You know,
Hmm.
Skip will run until the wheels fall off. You know, Højbjerg will be a consummate professional. So they're definitely doing what Ainge is saying. Is there any world where you? I'm trying to find anyone other than Skip or Højbjerg. Lo Celso?
I mean, Højbjerg will be gone in the summer, so yeah, maybe not Højbjerg, but Lo Celso, I'd never have him in a Spurs shirt again. I think his attitude stinks. He can't stay fit, and yeah, I wouldn't have him anywhere near the team. If you really don't want to start Skip, if you really don't want to start Højbjerg, then I would start Benny. I just don't think Basuma deserves the start, but I think we do need someone who's a bit more defensive, maybe. That's why I was saying Skip, but.
Yeah.
This is just proof. This is me and you sitting here having this conversation is proof that we need some sort of midfield reinforcements in the summer.
At least someone to say this is a legitimate person that can take his job away from either
Yeah.
Sarr or Basuma. I think we also need a legitimate Madison backup. If you talk to any Leicester fan, they do say he starts out brilliant. He gets
Hmm.
hurt. He doesn't come back the same, and it takes him a minute to get back up to those levels. And then by the time he does, the season's over.
Yeah,
And that's
exactly.
kind of where we're at right now. We're waiting for Madison to get back up to scratch. I like this comment here from Star Crow, YouTube member says, being dropped by Molly may make him buck up, or it could do what Kate's saying and make him uh sulk a little bit more, crunch down. What is that? The pressure could be weighing on him. You know, I don't know, but the man did have malaria, so I do have a little bit of sympathy to his physical state. He got here, got long COVID, looked like shit completely in the first season we had him. And then he looked brilliant for a couple matches, then fell off versus Luton, and since then it's really not been the same. So I'm not saying that I completely disagree. I do believe that there is a conversation that needs to be had in regards to should he be starting anymore. I would. I think Ange Postecoglou's quotes from yesterday would indicate that he's willing to give it another go. That he's
Yeah.
attributed Basuma's up and down season to the team's up and down season. So, um, it'd be interesting to see. Yeah, without talking about uh, future potential backup number 10s, etc. Let's move on to the front line.
Yeah.
This is another sticking point of a lot of different conversation because people say, well, Richarlison's back. You got to put Richarlison in the 9, let Son go out to the left wing, and on the right wing, you probably start Kulusevski. I would assume. And then
Yeah.
you have Brennan Johnson and Werner on the bench. For me, I'm thinking something more along the lines of Sonny through the middle, Timor or Brennan, take your pick. I don't really care. Dealer's choice. And then Kulusevski is kind of my predicted front three. What do you think of the front three? Who's your ideal front? And what do you think Ainge is going to go with?
I think he will go with what I would go with, which is Kulu, Sonny, Werner. I think Richarlison, if he is back and he's on the bench, I don't think he should start. By all means, come on because of the aerial threat, depending how the game's going. But yeah, I mean, I said the other day, Dave Irish Hotspur didn't agree with me, but I said I see more in Werner than I do in Johnson. And I also said that I thought Werner should start against Fulham. But I would start Kulu, Son and Werner for this game. I think Werner's got the pace. I know Johnson's quick as well. But yeah, that'd be my three. That's the three I expect him to go with. But as you say, you could quite easily put Johnson in there. They're much of a muchness.
Yeah, I think that to me, what would indicate my prediction to say that Brennan Johnson would be the starting left winger would be versus Villa. He had the pick of the lot. Nobody
Yeah.
out except I think Solomon and obviously Sessegnon, but he's I mean, what is a student who's never been in class? But
Hmm.
for me, I think that my prediction would be Brennan Johnson, Son, and Kulusevski. Because Werner was obviously brought in as a stopgap to be that warm body that can run down the flank when Son was gone at Asian Games. And for me, I don't think Richarlison is good enough at the 9. But then, the same argument has been made towards Son in the middle
Yeah.
that they say, oh, he can't break down a low block. This is Luton Town, so they're going to sit back with three and potentially 5 when those wing backs come help, and it could be 4 as well when one of those midfielders, either Barkley or I think his name's Thomas something, whenever they drop back and kind of fill in that 6 role. So there could be that really stingy low block. But what I would say by putting Son in the middle is naturally, no matter how good or bad of a game he's having, he's going to attract attention. And when you have a back three and that striker that's going to pull so much attention, what that does to the right center back and the left center back is they're constantly checking, do I need to help that center back? And so with that playing on their minds, I feel like even if he's ineffective, that's going to free up more space on the left, more space on the right. Because this is just my amateur opinion. I think when you put Son out there on the left, you're asking the manager of a restaurant to wash the dishes.
Yeah,
That's all you're asking him to do. It's like he could do more. He can run all aspects of this franchise. And I am a little biased when it comes to Son, admittedly.
No,
I do. He is. I do love him. I love him very much. I tried to name my daughter Sonny, but my wife said no. So there we are. But I just think that the natural presence of, almost like with Kane, when Kane was having a bad game, he was still effective because he was pulling that attention and that freed up space for Son to do what he did. And that was for years and years. And I think the same could be said, whereas Richarlison in the middle for me isn't going to worry the right side and the left-sided center back. They're going to say, oh, Buddy in the middle and that number 6, they'll take care of it. I can worry about these flanks, and that's going to maybe space them out a little bit more to where I think it'll be harder for us to break down, because if you just have Son out there wasting away on the left side, I don't like it personally. But what do you think? I know, well, I want to know what you think about Sonny as a 9 in regards to the difference between him and Richarlison versus a low block.
I mean, do you think Luton will play a real low block today then? Because I think they might come at us a bit more than we're expecting. I mean, I might be completely. Yeah, I do.
Well, the first time we played them, they just sat back the entire time, hit us on the counter, and they got 2 chances to my remembrance. It was a long time ago, but they got 2 clear-cut chances. I think Elijah Adebayo, he just completely Timo Wernered it. Brennan John. He skied it over the bar when he had a net in front of him, and all he had to do was tap it in. That's why I say same thing Timo and Brennan did versus Fulham. So, I just.
They've been
I don't
playing
know.
a lot more on the front foot recently, so I don't think
They have been scoring a boatload of goals too.
Yeah,
And they're away from home. A lot of people say their tactics may be different than what they were when we saw them at the Old Kinney.
Yeah,
I'll never forget the Old Kenilworth, no matter what happens with Luton. I'll never forget the Old Kinney. But that's been a hard place for all the big 6 to go, quite frankly. I think except Manchester United, everyone else has had troubles there.
Yeah, because I remember when we beat them 1-0 and everyone's like, oh, it's only Luton. And then every top team sort of had a real battle when they've gone there. But I think Adebayo is out today, which is a massive loss for them.
Yes.
Yeah, the thing is, I love Son as the striker. I do worry about the aerial threat. But we've got Richie that we can bring on. And there's no reason why we can't bring Richie on if it's not working and just move Son out to the left. I like the idea of swapping. Like I always say, to swap the wingers round, confuse the opposition. And like I say, if it's not working, if we're getting the balls in, no one's on the end of it, then by all means, move Sonny out to the left, bring Richie on and stick him in the middle. But this is what I always find fascinating, how it's going to play out every game. You never really can tell what Ange's going to do until he does it.
Yeah, I agree. There has been some talk before the lineups come out in another 120 seconds. There has been some talk in regards to Ainge's man management or the subs. That people said, oh, versus Fulham, you should have changed when you went 2 down because it clearly wasn't working. At what point do you think we should be looking to make subs? Is it if we're 2-0 down in the 60th minute that clearly it's not working at that point to change it? What do you make of the criticisms as far as Ainge's reluctancy to change something when it's not working? For me, I feel like there's a multitude of reasons why Ainge hasn't made those subs when, say, some of us may feel like it's appropriate to make those subs, because I just see it as he's instilling in their minds, and this is how I want this to play. And if they're out there struggling, sometimes, you're a parent, you could tell me, as a parent, my son's struggling with a task that I've put him to do. Am I going to sit there and say, okay, you can't do it, get out of there, I got
Yeah.
you, someone else will. You say no, put your head down and figure it out. And I think there's a little bit of that from the Ainge side, that he's like, I'm expecting y'all to go out. Madison, why aren't you stepping up? Son, why aren't you stepping up? That you got to turn to these players and say, why isn't someone stepping up at this point? It is on you to fix it,
Yeah.
not me. It is, we have done this all week. You know what I want. You know what daddy's thinking. Now just do what daddy says. That's what I think
Yeah.
it is. And this is an assumption, obviously, because it could be any number of reasons why Ainge, when he's sitting there on the touchline, or standing there rather, that he doesn't want to make those substitutions. I don't know. I don't really necessarily blame him for it, because for me, I've always said I want a consistency in philosophy rather than adaptability to circumstances. Because
Yeah.
adaptability to circumstances, you know who does that? Graham Potter does that. Pochettino's done that 3 times this year. Arteta's
Yeah.
done it in the 4 seasons he's managed. Klopp hasn't. Pep hasn't. They slightly tweak things. They make adjustments here and there, move players into certain positions, ask them to do certain things. But there's
Yeah.
a consistency in philosophy. And for me, when you're in your first year, if you're trying to instill that philosophy, I feel like you don't want to stray too far away from that. But what do you think while I pull these lineups?
Yeah, first of all, I think it's easy in hindsight to say, "Oh, you should have done this, you should have done that." If we'd have ended up winning that game, no one would have questioned his in-game management. But at the same time, I do think I get what you're saying, and I like that idea that he's saying, sort it out for yourself, work it out. But because the Premier League's so competitive, and now everyone's expectations gone up from, oh, this is a whatever season, let's just wait and see what Ange can do, to, oh, we need to get in the top 4. People don't want to take that risk. Me personally, I like half-time subs, but you don't see it very often. I like to see if something's not working, things change at half-time. But no, I don't like waiting until we're 2-0 down to make changes. For me, that's too late. But as I said, I can understand what you're saying, Jacob. Like, as a mum, like you say, you want your kid to work out how to do something rather than telling them, well, don't worry about it. So maybe that's his philosophy. He's trying to get them to try and problem solve their way through it.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a victim of his own early success in a way, because everyone's expectations has gone up of him. And now, instead of it just being,
Correct.
oh, we'll see where we are, and if we get any sort of Europe, now everyone's like, we've got to get Champions League now, or it'll be a failure. And I just think it's a bit crazy.
Yeah, I agree. We'll talk more about expectations and Ainge, but the lineup has come out. They were about 60 seconds late with it, but I was like, okay, it's on SofaScore, but they just tweeted it out. So here's the lineup. Obviously, your cover man today is Timo Werner, so that would indicate something for you. We've got Sicario in net, Pedro Porro, Romero with Radu Dragusin starting next to Udogi, and the midfield is Basuma, Sarr, and Madison, so he is sticking with Basuma there in the midfield. Again, I'm with you, Kate. I need to see him step it up. I need more from you, because if you remember why we were so effective was because we had a ball carrying midfielder, a guy who picked it up in our third and drove it to the half line and passed it forward, not took a step forward, turn around, pass it back, which is what I've seen some. So I agree. I do need a big match from Basuma. And then in the front threes, Kulusevski, Heung-min Son through the middle, and Timo Werner. Richarlison makes the bench. Johnson makes the bench. Lo Celso, Bentancur, Højbjerg, Royal. Oliver Skipp didn't even make the bench. Poor guy. Emerson Royale, Ben Davies, Mickey Van de Veen, and Brandon Austin is the backup goalkeeper for today. RIP, RIP to Skip, I suppose. But
If I was Skip and I was fit, I'd be thinking, hang on a minute, this guy Højbjerg has said that he's leaving. He's questioning the manager, and I still can't get on the bench.
Yeah. Hey, and AK, I've seen your comment. I understand what you're saying, but I am from the South, so I'm going to say things the way that I so choose, which is Ainge Postecoglou. Anyone else will tell you the way that they want to say it. I'm going to tell you it's Ainge Postecoglou to me. So that is me. But look, this is a pretty strong lineup.
Yeah.
For all intents and purposes, you should, Werner, Radu, those are the only 2 differences. It's Luton Town. They're having 6 changes, I believe, to their 11. Now I'm looking here. Here's a SofaScore. Their lineup looks to be a back 3, which is again what I predicted. Doherty is their left back. left wing back. Ross Barkley and Ponzu's a pretty decent midfielder. Luke Barry, Andres Townsend, the boy Tommy Chong. What a guy! He's starting as well. He's actually I think he's a really good little player there. And Carlton Morris, who I believe used to be their leading goal scorer. Now, as far as their injuries, this is their list of missing players to our missing players. We have three: Fraser Forrester, Maynard Solomon, and Ryan Sessegnon. And for them, it's Tom Lockyer, who is a starter, Amari Bell, Marvelous Nkamba, Elijah Adebayo, which is also a starter, Daniel Potts, Gabriel Osho, who's also a starter, Mads Jules Anderson, who's a starter, Jacob Brown, Lakonga, and Doughty are questionable, it says, but I don't see Lakonga on the bench, so I'm assuming Lakonga did not make it, but Doughty did. Doughty's actually a good little left back. A lot of people saying he deserves to move to a bigger club if Luton do get relegated, or even if they do stay up. Is there anything on their lineup that I just read out that intimidates you, that you say, oh, I'm actually a little bit concerned about? For me, I'm going to say Andros Townsend. I know he wasn't great for us, but what happens with ex-Spurs players or players we were once linked with? They always ball out against us. It doesn't matter. So I think he's going to cause us trouble. People love playing against their old club. But what about you? Anything on their end that you see is really threatening?
Well, Ross Barkley's had a bit of a resurgence of late, and we was linked to him years ago. So he's a little bit. He can be a real threat. And Carlton Morris knows where the goal is, but apart from that, not really. I mean, even Andros Townsend. Oh no, I'm not going to say it. Actually, I'm not going to say anything about him because he will come and bite me right on my backside. So yeah, Andros Townsend as well, a little bit nervy. But I suppose if I had to pick one, it'd be Ross Barkley because he, like I say, he's found a bit of form. He seems to have rolled the years back.
You know, older gentlemen enjoy rolling the years back against Tottenham. Makes me think of Jared Milner. The first time we saw him this season, he looked like, I don't even know what he looked like, some prime left winger out there. I was like, who is this old man doing our entire back line? So I do agree with you there. I think Ross Barkley he's been an absolute stud. There's a reason I think he's their highest rated player all season. There's even people shouting for him to make the England squad but obviously that's based on merit, but Southgate doesn't do that. I still think regardless of, even if they had an entire healthy 11, we should still get the win. But with them missing so many players, I think we should comprehensively get the win. I see Andy Lloyd's comment saying this game screams 0-0 at halftime. Is there any way that this is a closer game than I want it to be? Because I don't want it to be. I need an Aston Villa type result. A complete dominant performance, in my opinion, is what I want to see. But will we see it? Probably not, because we tend to not dominate an entire 90. We dominate portions of it. And I think I'm getting used to that in regards to, when you're a big club playing these smaller, recently promoted sides, you should be dictating the tempo, should be dictating the manner in which the game is played, and I hope that we do that. Do you see us dictating things on the pitch? Do you see us dictating play, or do you see we're just going to take as much as they give and it's going to be 0-0, kind of a squeaky bum time?
I see exactly what that comment said. I see it being 0-0 at half time. I see us soaking up their pressure, which they will put some pressure on us in the first half, and this is what we seem to do: soak up the pressure and then come out all guns blazing in the second half, which is great. But I would much rather we just started off all guns blazing, and even if we dropped off a little bit in the second half. But I think it will be tight in the first half, and then much like Villa, and then we're kicking in the second half, and I think it will be a reasonably convincing win. I don't see it being a squeaky bum win. It better not be. I can't cope with that.
I've seen some predictions 2-1, which 2-1 is too close. If we drop points to Luton, I'm going to say it right now, we don't deserve top 5. We don't, because this is one of those teams you got to be putting away. Now, Fulham, people say, oh, well, you're supposed to do the same thing against Fulham. Well, our tactics played right into Fulham's hands, if you think about it. Now, I remember going back and looking at Fulham. When they have less of the ball, they win. When they have more of the ball, they lose. What did they have versus us? Less of the ball. Therefore, they won. It is like a math equation. When X equals Y, Y must be, and we lived up to the algebraic equation, honestly, in regards to how Fulham wanted us to play against them. Because United played the same way against them, they got the win. It was closer for them than it was for us.
Yeah.
But are you at all concerned that this manager, the first time he played Ainge, we barely squeaked a 1-0 win at their ground? Do you think that this manager may have figured out the best way, or is it just it's obvious what the best way against Ainge style is? Sit back, absorb pressure, hit him on the counter, and take your chances when you get them. Every team gets those chances; they just don't always take them.
I
What do you
think
think?
I think Luton at home is a completely different animal to playing Luton away. Like them at home. When we went to their ground, you've seen it. A lot of teams struggle when they go to Kenilworth Road. It's a smaller pitch. It's a bit more claustrophobic. The fans are really close to the pitch. Our pitch is loads wider. I do think they're going to struggle at our pitch. I think their energy levels, like you say, they've got a lot of injuries. And you're right. People can suss Angie's. Sorry, my fan keeps falling off my desk. People can suss out Ange Ball quite easily. It's not difficult, you know. Everyone knows what he does, but do they have the quality to do it? I'm not sure they do. And if we can't beat Luton comfortably, I will even be devastated if they score a goal at our place today. You know, their run of scoring, they've conceded 2 or more goals in the last 7 of 10 away matches. And, I know they do score a lot of goals, but I will be, with our back line, I'll be mortified if we let a goal in. This should be a comfortable, clean sheet for us today.
I agree. It should be. It should be. Keyword should be. But also, after a 4-0 away at Villa Park, you should be capitalizing on your next performance.
Yes.
Should be and could be's don't really seem to apply when it comes to Tottenham Hotspur all the time.
No.
But I agree with you. Luton are dealing with way more injuries at this juncture than we are. Injuries are never an excuse. We know that. But it is a blatant outlying fact when I just show you the visual of this. These are the left is our players missing. The right is their players missing. One of them on the very bottom, Doty, is actually in the lineup. But outside of that, all these players are out. So this
no excuses, basically.
zero excuses. If we concede a goal, I can accept it. But we better respond with 3 of our own. Because there was a comment I saw, I can't remember who it was. They mentioned when we did barely beat them 1-0, we were playing with 10 men.
Yeah.
Which is true.
Yeah.
Which is true. I just think that I keep thinking about Basuma and that silly flop, and they haven't carded simulation since. It's really not fair. But nonetheless, look, this is the lineup. This is their lineup. Kickoff is about 45 minutes from now, Kate.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you this. Who has the biggest job on their hands today to break down this Luton side or to get something against this Luton side? Who do you think has the biggest? I'm going to say for me, it's either Madison or Son. You've captain and vice captain. Romero's been doing just fine back there as the other vice captain. So I'm going to leave old Kuti out of this because he's been a stud, a baller. But James Madison hasn't been as good as he used to be. Basuma hasn't been as good as he used to be. Son, to me, wasn't good last week. I need him to respond. To me, I think the 2 biggest people with the most weight on their shoulders this match to perform at a high level and excel is Madison and Son for me. That's our captain and our vice captain. They have to step it up because for me, if you're one of these guys like Dragusin or Timo Werner, you're looking at Son, you're looking at Madison. Oh, if they're cooking, now all of a sudden it breeds some confidence. Okay, I could cook a little bit. But if they're getting frustrated, heads down, they're like, shit, this guy's frustrated. Maybe I'm not doing something right. And then they could be double thinking things. To me, everyone plays better when the captains are better. Your captains and vice captains play better. Everyone will follow. Maybe it's a little simplistic reductionism on my end, but Kate, for you, who's got who's got to reply the most? Is it Ainge? Is it the players?
It's Madders and Basuma for me because our midfield against Fulham were non-existent. I thought all of them were just. In fact, when Pierre Højbjerg come on, he was better than all three of them had been. So for me, Basuma needs to boss that midfield, take control, and Madders needs to start sort of providing service for the front three and becoming the creative genius that we all know he can be. We need to see the form that we saw at the beginning of the season from both of them. I think if Basuma plays well, we like the whole team play well. I think he literally lifts the whole team. They've all got their part to play. But
It makes their jobs easier too, right? When Basuma's playing well, it makes Papa Matasar look better, makes Madison look better because he's not having to drop deep and pick up the ball and carry. He can go receive it in a creative area and do something with. I agree with you, Kate. Sorry, I just wanted to say that. I do agree. Everyone looks a lot better when Basuma's ticking.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of questions over him at the minute. I mean, I've been saying if we got a good offer in the summer, I'd consider selling him. I think he needs to show people why Ange is staying with him and putting his faith in him, because at the minute, like I saw Ellie come straight in and say Basuma shouldn't have started, he doesn't deserve it, he's been playing pants. But Ange obviously knows that he's got it in him and he's trying to draw it back out. So yeah, for me, Basuma is the number one that needs to stand up and show today. You know, he needs to be a leader. He might not be a captain, he might not be a vice captain, but he needs to be a leader in that midfield, and we all know he can do it. So he's the key man, but I want to see more from Madders as well.
Well, in the middle of the season too, Kate, to accentuate your point, in the middle of the season, everyone's saying how much of a leader he is in the locker room. Young guys are saying, we love Basuma, the energy he brings. So it's all good and cool being the cool guy at school, but you got to be the cool guy who leads by example as well. So I do agree with you that he does have a lot on his shoulders as well in the regards, because when you look at it, our starting 11, there's not many changes. For me, I'm changing both wingers. I'm keeping Son out of the front three and changing both of the wingers if I have my ideal say in regards to like the transfer market. But when we're looking at like next season, who's for sure in our starting 11, Basuma has slightly worked himself into the question mark of is he the for sure star? I don't know now because of the lack of quality performances sustained, because it's all good. Again, you do what Giovanni Lo Celso does. You give me 3 good matches a season, and then the rest you're either injured, suspended, or fucked off. Like that is, to me, not a player that I think we can rely on. Basuma hasn't crossed that echelon into I don't trust him. The door is still open, but the door shouldn't be open based on how he was playing. The door should be closed. His position should be solidified. But it's almost, maybe like what you said, the complacency, the mental aspect where he started, okay, I'm good, I'm balling, I'm one of the best. And then it's boom. You just get a little complacent. Next thing you know, you're getting overrun in the midfield. And that it can happen real quick in the Premier League.
Everyone can see that Tottenham's main problem this season is we've not been consistent. Apart from the start of the season, we've not been consistent at all. And yes, we've had a mountain of injuries. Yes, we've had to deal with suspensions as well. But if we got consistently decent performances, I'm not saying they've got to be excellent every game, but if they were good every game, Madders, Basuma they're good. We know they can be excellent, but doing better than average every game, we would get these wins that we're losing. But there seems to have been such a big drop-off with so many of these players. And Madders, you can say, well, he's had injuries. And I know you said about Basuma's health, but now's the time. There's 10 games. Is it 10 games to go? They need to step up now and say, this is why we played. Yeah. This is why
after
we played.
Today will be 9,
Yeah. So I'm looking for a massive step up from the midfield today.
I agree. I think it's a very healthy discussion as far as this midfield. And I remember there was a point where I was like, when Rodrigo comes back, we're really gonna have surplus to goods. We're gonna have pick of the lot.
Yeah.
It's almost like an ugly man being the one guy on The Bachelor. And he's got the pick of the lot. I don't know what to do with them all. So it's like, for me, I'm a little bit disappointed that we haven't continued and built upon that. And now it's like, well, shit, who's healthy? Is Rodrigo even healthy? No. Well, now but this is a game where I'm going to go back to that comment I referenced about 40 minutes ago, which was Basuma's curse began versus Luton when he got sent off. Let's
Mhm.
hope that this is the day he breaks that curse, and then we finish the last 10 games the way we started the first 10 games, undefeated and on top, with Yves Bissouma being a main catalyst for that. Because again, when you look at our lack of creativity, it is because there's not that guy who, what was Bissouma, what he was doing was picking up the ball outside our box, carrying it either to the right, to the left, but forward, and then playing it forward to either
Yeah,
Madison or on the left, right wing. And to me, he's gotten away from that. He's still press resistant, but he's reluctant to go forward and carry the ball and progressively pass the ball. It almost seems what I hate, which is when our midfielders do the I receive it, I give it right back to you, or I
yeah,
receive
yeah,
it and I send it to the guy next to you, but it's all backwards and their back
yeah,
is to our goal. I like it's fine if you want to play with your back to the goal. Pick that ball up, hit me with the Johan Cruyff turn you did in the beginning of the season and in our opponent's box nonetheless. Hit us with some of that, you know. So I
yeah.
think
I'm
Basuma.
sure, unless I'm very much mistaken, which is quite possible, but I'm sure Basuma used to score quite a few goals for Brighton as well. He used to pop up with goals every now and again for Brighton, and
I
we
think he
haven't.
had like well he scored against us. So that might be
Well, that
why
might be it.
our memory he scored a banger from against us. But when he was in Brighton, he sat back when they didn't have possession, and when they had possession, he was the guy that we've just said picks up the
Yeah,
ball, moves it forward, passes it. When they're in our half, when we had Jose Mourinho and he was playing against us, he was the guy. He was not deeper than that center circle, the half of the center circle in our half. He wasn't deeper than that line, and he was always going forward, always pushing it forward. And yeah, he had, I think, a crazy outside the box goal against us. And that's when I
yeah.
was like, this guy. Every time we play Brighton, this guy is a problem. I would love him at Tottenham. And then as we see, we
Ooh.
sorry about that. Wow.
I don't know what happened.
You know, I'm gonna be honest, and I'm gonna do the shameless thing. I'm going to blame my son because what he does with our Wi-Fi router is he grabs it and he licks it. And since he's begun licking the Wi-Fi router, it just drops out completely from time to time. So I am
Maybe
so
that's what
sorry
happened.
about that.
Maybe Jim licked ours because mine dropped as well.
How did you get kicked out? That's crazy. I'm so sorry. RIP the stream. I apologize. That was my fault, and I guess me leaving kicked everybody out. That was very fun. Good cover work there, Kate. I apologize. It's definitely my son's fault, not mine. So don't blame me. But Kate, we are in the last 10 minutes of the show, so it is time. What I like to do, I ask the chat this, and I will run through as many in the chat as possible. You know, Wi-Fi withstanding. But I'm gonna ask Kate for her goal score, final score, and who's scoring the goals. And just like Jim, oh wait, Jim's giving us a different score here. Wet
West
Spam
Ham's
3-3.
3-3 against
They were up
Newcastle.
3-1 against
Yeah, yeah,
Newcastle.
yeah.
I saw. Now it's 3-3. That's very lovely to see. Well, yeah, we're gonna blame Jim and we're gonna blame my son. That's who we're blaming for what just happened there. So apologies, gentlemen and gentle ladies, about that. Very embarrassing. But as you know, I like to do here, just like this, 3-0 to the Spurs. But Ellie, you know the rules. Give me who scored the goals. I'm going to roll through as many in the chat as I can before I give you mine. And when Kate answers hers and gives you who's going to score, that'll give you even more time to get your answers in. So get your score predictions, goal scorers in the chat right now. And Kate, let me know, how do you see this game shaping up and who's scoring the goals?
I am going with 3-0, same as Ellie, to us, obviously. And I'm going with a Sonny brace and Kulu to score today.
Sonny brace.
Yes. And Kulu to score. So, yeah, everyone keeps saying to me, well, Luton do score a lot of goals, but I have faith today that we will keep a clean sheet. So.
Come on, Raduski. We need it. I agree. Well, Ellie here's got 3-0 to the Spurs. So you got 3-0, right, Kate?
Yep, 3-0.
You and Ellie got 3-0. All right. Timbo Slice says 6-0. That's a very big score. 5-0 for Sean Maddox. Madison, Son with 2, Werner, and Poro. Yep, I licked the Wi-Fi routers from Jim. Jim says 4-0. Sonny with 2, Timo with 1. Johnson comes on and gets the 4th. I like that. I do see that happening.
Yeah.
Because again, the system isn't asking these wingers to be technically and individually brilliant. It's asking you to do the very simple things in football, which is get to the back post when the play is working opposite side of you, get to the far post, and if it is you, hold up play and wait for reinforcements. It's not give it to Timo Werner, let him cook. It's Timo, just do the job. Again, that's why I equated it to dishwashing. It's a little simple, but I just think, yeah, I think Timo, Brennan Johnson, they're good dishwashers.
Yeah.
Good dishwashers. Big up Jim. Big up Seattle, or Seattle says 4-0, Son, Werner, Madison, and a defender. I'm going to say Romero.
What a surprise.
Does that back there show you where my thoughts? Tip Top Tottenham's got 3-0 Son hat trick. I like to see that. Multi-content says 3-2 win. I don't know if my heart can take it. Says Madison, Werner, and a Poro. Do need a Poro goal. We do need a Poro goal in the Premier League, because since that FA Cup, I haven't seen much. Big up to Paul Lasky, says 2-1 Spurs. Barnby and Anderton. Oh no.
Rolling back those years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big up Daniel Harris says 2-1 Spurs. As always, it won't be easy. It'll be 0-0 at half. Playing like crap and we'll come back and win. Very nice. Let's get back to winning ways. 2-0 Spurs, Son and Madison for TC. Bob Down Under's got 4-0 Timo, Madison, Son, and Richie. Lisa says 2-0 Werner and Sonny. I do like that. Megan, hello Megan Ingamelis, says 4-1 Sonny brace, Werner and Madison. A lot of Sonny braces. It looks like a lot of people are expecting Son to get back to his scoring ways. I need it, I want it, and I think I deserve it. Big up Timmy says 3-2. Not sure who wins, but I'm saying Tottenham. Benny guy's got a 2-1 Tottenham win. Born to lose is born to win today. Says 4-1 Spurs, Son 2, Werner and Johnson. Come on, you Spurs. Come on, born to win. 73. Big up Sire. Really messed up your name. Says 2-1 Werner to score again. Very nice. Clayton's got a 3-1. James got Sonny 1. Kulu with 2. Kanteb's got a 2-0 victory for Tottenham. Yanis Rubelis, big up Yanis, says 4-0 all around the paddock. Def, Son, and Rich. Tottenham Hotspur says we're going to smash them 4 or 5-0. Come on, you Spurs. I do like that as well. I do not know how to read this language, but big up to you for being here. I don't see any numbers, so I don't know if this is a score prediction, but I hope you're well.
10-0 to Spurs, Sonny to get 8, and Richie to come on and get the other 2.
Sonny breaking the record. That's what I like to see. That's what I like to see, y'all. Sonny breaking records. I need it. I need it. Atlas Quest got a 3-0 Son, 2. Madison with 1. Also could sense an assist from Pape. Oh, pop it with an assist. I like to see that. Jay Murray's got 5-1 to Tottenham. Jeffrey says Werner, Basuma, and Dragusin. Oh, he's saying it doesn't bode well. That's not a prediction there, Jeffrey. Yanis says Vic with the BDE. Chang, my man, Chang. How are you doing, buddy? Says 2-1, Son and Madison. That is a squeaky bum time, Chang. I don't want squeaky bum time. I like Kate's prediction more, 3-0. That's not so squeaky bum. But now it's time for my prediction before we round off the show. I'm going to say, for me, I'm going to give the same prediction I've been giving all across the YouTube world. And Kate, you're going to like it overall, but you're not going to like a part of it. I'm saying, now that Son is through the middle, my prediction with Richie through the middle was 4-1. But with Son through the middle, I'm saying 5-1. I need a 5-1. Yeah, I know it's probably going to be 2-1 or 3-1, but I need a 5-1. I want a Sonny hat trick. I need it. I want one. And I think Madison gets a goal. That'll be 4. And I think Udogie or Poro, those fullbacks inverting, pushing up in the forward line, do something for me. Put it in the net.
That's you didn't say Romero, so you're going to have to do 6-1 now.
Yeah. Romero's going to have a clearance of sorts, a breakaway clearance, where it's going to be someone running away with the ball, and here comes Romero, clatters into him, wins the ball cleanly. I'm looking again for Romero to step up in the sense as a leader, because again, Dragusin, second start in a new league. Mm-hmm. I need Romero to be clean and do what he's been doing all 2024 calendar year, not the season, 2024 calendar year, which is 0 cards. He has less yellow cards than Mikel Arteta. But for some reason, he is rash. He is over-penalized. And there was some stupid tweet that they tweeted out. It was like a red card. It's like, who do you think of when you think of a red card? And everyone's tagging me and Romero. To me, this is a overdrawn narrative about Christian Romero. I think he is an absolute dynamite in the back. He is a rock in the back for us. He is a leader in the back line for us. So for me, I definitely need Kuti to step up. Maybe he does get the goal. I'm just throwing Udogie and Poro out there because I need to see it. Yeah. Because what's the point of these inverting fullbacks is to contribute in the attack and to present more options for us in the attack as well when they invert and push forward. There's been times Destiny's our second striker. I don't know if he's going to push up as much because when Van de Ven has been out, Ainge has asked Destiny to push forward less when it was Ben Davies, I believe, to help kind of cover that lack of pace. And he did do that for about 3 games in a row. Then Van de Ven came back, and then you see Udogie pushing up just as much as he always does. But now with Van de Ven out, I would expect him to not push up as forward as usual. But look, it's been absolutely fantastic discussion. I'm thrilled with the lineup. Kate, do you have any final thoughts before we end the stream? And I'm putting your channel link in the chat. There's Kate's channel on YouTube, Just a Girl Who Loves Spurs. Make sure you go subscribe. Support all your Tottenham Hotspur content creators because we are the best, the most intelligent, and the most beautiful. But Kate, any final thoughts before the game kicks off?
Well, final thoughts, number one is I'm glad West Ham are now losing. But going back to our game, Romero, I was one of the people who thought he was rash, but carrying on what you're doing. When he plays well and he's clean and he doesn't do stupid things, he is an exceptional talent. So, I hope he keeps doing what he's doing. And, just pray that this is a comfortable win for Spurs today, because anything less and the meltdown in the fan base will be just mind-blowingly bad. After Fulham, I can just see if this happened to just even be like a 2-1, I can still see there being a meltdown that we've not smashed them. So I am praying that it will be a comfortable win of at least 2 goals difference.
Yes.
And I believe it can be.
I agree with you. It has to be. It must be. Yes. We need it. I require it. For me, my final thoughts, here's my channel if you want to subscribe to America's #1 Tottenham Hotspur fan channel. My final thoughts are to what you said exactly. I agree. We need to keep pushing on. But my final thoughts are this. Never underestimate your opponent, but always rate yourself highly. And if we could do that, we should be all right. And I think we may have rated ourselves too highly versus Fulham. So we're finding the balance. And life is all about that, Kate. It's about the balance. And I think this squad, Werner in there, Dragusin in there, a couple little shifting pieces, shouldn't be enough to disrupt the entire boat in our course. We should still be able to stay on our course. We've got Ange Postecoglou driving this ship. Well, I guess you don't drive a boat. You more steer it with a propeller.
Driving the train.
Yeah, whatever vessel of transportation you want to use for Ange, I'm all aboard, and we're all good. I feel like a train is very one track minded.
True.
And I like a boat. Boat has freedom. I can go 5 feet to the left and go forward. I can go 5 feet to the right and go forward. In a train, you're stuck on the rails, and everyone knows where you're going. I want to say we're not just an Ange train. We're Ange trains, planes, and automobiles. How about
that's
yeah,
it.
like the movie.
And hovercrafts.
Yeah, hovercrafts too. That's a great final thought. Hovercrafts, planes, trains, and automobiles. What a fantastic way to end this show. But real big up to everybody in the chat. I hope you're having a fabulous day. Stick right here. We Are Tottenham TV's watch long begins in just a couple of minutes. Stick right where you are. But before I end the show, make sure you hit a like on the video. It is absolutely free to do. It helps the channel. It helps YouTube know who the good guys are. So if you want to help the good guys like Ben and Sim, hit that like, hit that subscribe. And again, Kate, thank you so much. You can find her channel in the title of this description, Just a Girl Who Loves Spurs, United Spurs of America for me. And you know what? While you're on a subbing spree, go ahead and sub to Dave at the Irish Hotspur, who's here every single week for the pump up. Big up to Dave. Big up, Kate. Thank you so much for joining me. And big up to everybody in the chat. Let's go get these 3 points. And as always, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.